On this Wellness Wednesday, transitioning your kids back to school. Now that they've been in class for about a month, how has it been for them? We have tips on how to keep the transition moving smoothly from elementary school through high school. Let's connect with Julianna, our marriage and family coach, for more on this topic. I'm so glad we're talking about this because it's so hard. It's so hard for parents and for kids. So let's break it down by the years. We're going to start with elementary school. This is about 5 to 10 years old. What's happening in this stage? Because I know there's a lot of growth spurts.
Oh, so many. I mean, think about it. They're 5. We put them into kindergarten. They barely know their ABCs. Then by 5 years later, they're off to middle school. So we've got cognitive growth, emotional growth, physical growth. It's stressful for kids and for us as parents.
Yeah, it really is. And learning foundational skills. I mean, that is so difficult because, you know, some don't catch on as well as others.
Yes.
You know?
And you know what? I'm a teacher too. And what I can tell you is those foundational skills they're going to use all the way through school. And I tell parents, get into that school, know the curriculum, get to know the teacher.
Yes.
Make sure that what you are learning, your kids are learning in school, you are reinforcing at home so they can feel empowered.
That's good. I've done a lot of emails to my kids' teachers. All right. So a big tip when it comes to elementary school stage, communicate. And it starts by listening.
You know what? We can't communicate enough, and we have to start when they're young. And really, there are a lot of skills we can learn about that. And so many parents talk at their kids instead of with them, just because we're busy. We're stressed, right?
I'm guilty of it too.
Sure.
You say ask questions.
Yes, asking questions. So how it works is you ask questions and then you listen. And then you ask a question and then you listen. And make sure when you're asking those questions, they're the probing, open-ended questions. So your child,
Not the yes or no.
Yes, your child gets in the car and you might say, hey, tell me your high and low. And you listen. And then you ask another question. So you're creating that trust.
Yeah, that dialogue.
And that dialogue.
Okay, what do you mean by role playing?
I love it. I did it with all my kids. A lot of my parents use it. So what you're doing with role playing is you're giving your child these tools that they can use. So say, for example, one of their pain points was, I didn't have anybody to sit with at lunch today. So you switch it and you say, okay, let me be you, and how could we shift this tomorrow? Maybe you go up to a table and you ask them. Maybe we call a friend and you set it up for tomorrow. So role playing helps to make them just,
yeah, now I know how to handle it.
Yeah, calms them down.
That's so good. Okay, so let's move now to middle school. This is about 11 to 13 years old. What's happening here?
Well, you got to put your seatbelts on. Because what's happening is all of these kids are going through puberty. So you're looking at all of these emotions, and everything can be a little volatile. And again, there's a lot of the stress. I say the hardest job in the world is parenting. It really is.
It really is. And bullying is really big during this stage too.
It is. And that's because what happens is kids are feeling insecure. They're trying to find their way. They're trying to fit into friends groups. And often kids that feel super yucky inside, they bully because they're trying to figure out how to get that power back. So they don't always tell their parents. So we really need to pay attention to that.
Okay, so you got to do that by bringing these topics up and once again listening.
That's right. So here's, if you have practiced these skills of communicating, listening, asking these questions when they're this age, we really want to pull that information out of them. So we're asking the question, we're listening, and what happens though sometimes is they start really sharing because they trust the situation, and you go, oh my gosh, and then you're like, oh no, you can't do that, because then they close off. Right? So pause, listen, gather the information, and just remain calm. And the more you do that, you're going to create this great rapport.
And then go scream in your closet.
That's right.
All right. I know, exactly. Okay, so finally, we're going to hit high school. This is about 14 to 18 years old. What's happening here? It's also very stressful.
It is stressful. I mean, poor parents, right? Kids too. But, you know, there's also a lot of kids, it's okay for them. They move in easily because they've got their friend group, but we've got social media. We've got a lot more anxiety and depression. I mean, we're seeing it in spades here. And so we really have to pay attention. We've got the competition with school, the competition with sports. So it's kind of amping up a bit, you know.
So family time is even more crucial.
You got to do it. They want to leave. You know, they don't want to hang out with the family as much in high school. So family time is so very important. At least I say once a week, try to get them in there to do something with the family. Put the, you know, iPad and phone down.
Technology.
Look at each other and communicate.
Oh,
Find out what's happening.
I know we could go on for another hour.
We could.
All right, Julianna. You're not going anywhere because you're going to stay for another half hour. I'm going to make you.